They are the largest birds in the world. They can run at speeds of up to 70 kilometers per hour. Their leg muscles are so powerful that a single kick has been known to rip a lion or a human wide open. They evolved around 50 million years ago. They have wings, but these impressive birds were never built to fly. Ostriches were once spread right through southern Europe and as far east as Mongolia. Today, wild populations are only found in the dry savanna areas of Africa. There are 4 subspecies that differ slightly in colouring and size. These birds, of the southernmost race, live in Namibia's gigantic Etosha National Park. The male's legs go red in the breeding season. So do their beaks. It's quite a long way down for an ostrich to take a drink. Its head is about 2.5 meters above the ground. The male's black and white colouring is highly conspicuous compared with the female's drab brown. The white tail and wing feathers are the ones used by the fashion trade and to make dusters. Farming ostriches for their feathers has probably saved the birds from being hunted to extinction in the wild. Other birds have 4 toes. The ostrich has 2. Its main method of defense is to flee from potential predators. Having 2 forward-facing toes is an adaptation for faster running. For such big, swift birds, ostriches are wary. Even a dozing individual is quite difficult to approach without being seen. These birds prefer wide open spaces where they have a good view of everything around them. Plains animals, such as wildebeest, relax in the company of ostriches. The birds have a good view of the surrounding countryside from 2.5 meters up. If they show signs of nervousness, the other animals are alerted to potential danger. But the ostrich's skittishness doesn't always indicate the presence of danger. This large group of young birds may just be indulging in high spirits. Dust bathing helps to keep the ostrich's long, soft plumes clean and free from parasites. The activity also seems to help release tension and pent-up energy. As these young birds chase around, they practice some of the mating and aggressive displays they will need to perform when they mature. An ostrich lives for perhaps 25 years in the wild and isn't ready to breed until it is 3 or 4. Males defend their territories in the breeding season by patrolling, displaying, and chasing out intruders. Ostriches perform dramatic courtship rituals to potential mates. They are polygamous birds, and a male may mate with up to 5 different females. After mating, the male goes off to prepare a nest. All of his females will lay in the same nest, which is usually made out in the open. The female's wing quivering display encourages the male. She slowly approaches to inspect the site he's chosen. The nest is no more than a scrape in the sand, but ostriches don't need to build elaborate structures. Jackals aren't usually a problem for such big birds, but they are clever and patient. This pair waited until the female was away from the nest and then moved in on the first eggs she'd laid. When the female returned, the damage had been done. It's incredible that a jackal can break anything as thick as the shell of an ostrich egg, but the disturbance alone was enough to make the pair desert the nest and start all over again. If an ostrich spots a potential predator near a nest of eggs, it will put on a display to try and distract it away from the vicinity of its eggs. Each female usually produces 4 to 8 eggs. There are 25 here, so 3 hens have laid in the one nest. For such a big bird, it's a relatively very small egg. The male ostrich incubates the eggs at night, and the hens relieve him during the day. He turns the eggs before settling on them. At midday, the ground temperature out here on the pan is 60 degrees centigrade. One of the main problems is to prevent the eggs from getting hot. In Etosha, ostriches nest just before the seasonal rains break in October. Although the male is on nesting duty throughout the night, he sits on into the heat of daytime until the female comes to relieve him on the nest. On Etosha's flat pan, the male can spot a female coming up to 1 kilometre away. As a signal that it's all clear for her to take over, he lies with his neck extended on the sand. Strangely, it's also an attitude he adopts if there are predators about. The male's bill clapping probably communicates to the female that he is ready to change over. The female turns the eggs to make sure they are incubated evenly. After 42 days, the first eggs start to hatch. The breakout can take the baby ostriches up to 36 hours. These first chicks will have to wait around with their parents until the last of the hatchlings emerge, and that can take up to a week. While they wait, they'll have to survive with little food and nothing to drink. Fortunately, they hatch with a good supply of nourishment within their own bodies. When they hatch, ostrich chicks stand about 30 centimeters high. The bristly down feathers on their backs help to conceal them from predators. The chicks rely on their parents for shelter until the end of the hatching period. This male has been brooding the chicks and the few remaining unhatched eggs all night. In the distance, the female is making a cautious return to the nest. Another chick is emerging, and it's the male who walks back to help it out of the egg. By eating the membrane, the male helps to remove scents which might attract predators, and he probably benefits from the nourishment as well. From now until the chicks are about a month old, both parents will be constantly on duty looking after them. The male may lead the strongest chicks some distance away from the nest. Splitting the brood at this stage may increase their chances of survival. If a predator found one half of the family, the other half may escape detection. As the end of the hatching period approaches, both parents share the tasks of brooding the unhatched eggs and looking after the young. While there are still unhatched eggs, the female is reluctant to leave the nest. But again, it's the male who helps the latest arrival out of the shell. Perhaps it's the attraction of the egg membrane which makes him so attentive. Next morning, the ostrich pair decide to move away from the nest. The chicks are reaching the point at which they must begin to feed. To wait for those last eggs to hatch could endanger the whole family. The last eggs may even be infertile. The last chick to emerge is still wet and feeble. It may yet get the chance to catch up with the rest, but if it fails, it will be abandoned for the good of the whole family. The female is instinctively drawn back to the unhatched eggs, but even if she hears a chick calling inside, she won't be able to wait for it to hatch. As she returns to lead the family away, she passes the late-hatched chick. If it tries to follow, it might still make it. They wait to encourage it. The female goes back to it, but sadly, it hasn't the strength to follow the rest of the family. The male tries encouragement too, but the young ostrich hasn't had enough time to recover from the effort of emerging from the egg to start a trek across the plains. The family must move away across the pan. Within hours, the straggler is dead. The parents' first task is to lead their chicks to an area where they can get the tender plants and grass shoots they need to build up their strength. They can't hurry them too much at first, or they'll become exhausted. The parents are badly in need of food too, after long days at the nest. After a day of feeding, the chicks have gained strength and are now able to move at a much faster pace. Lack of water doesn't bother them. They get all the moisture they need from the vegetation they eat. The adult birds have succeeded in guiding the chicks through their first vulnerable days, but a new test lies ahead. It's a situation which is fairly common among ostriches. One pair with a large brood of young suddenly finds itself face to face with another family with chicks of the same age. The confrontation starts with some fairly low-key display. One pair is about to take charge of all the chicks. Crashing behavior in ostriches is now well known. Gathering different broods together may benefit the chicks from safety in numbers. Even so, the challenged pair are not prepared to lose control of their family without a fight. Their billowing wings show the birds are in a state of high excitement. One of the females tries to chase off her rival. Eventually, one of the males shows signs of backing down by moving slowly away. His mate follows him. The whole encounter has lasted 15 minutes. The chicks seem completely to accept the situation. It's not unusual to find very large coveys of young ostriches, often hundreds strong. Quite how this benefits the birds as a survival strategy isn't known, but possibly the combined groups give the ostrich chicks a better chance against enemies, such as jackals and hyenas. Sometimes even adults fall victim to large predators. This male cheetah has pulled down and killed a fully grown female ostrich after a fierce battle. The ostrich weighed 45 kilos more than its attacker. This female had a large family of chicks, but her death does not necessarily mean disaster for them. The male bird will continue to look after the brood until they can take care of themselves. The chicks will grow fast now, at the rate of about 30 centimetres in height every month, until they're over 2 metres tall. Growth slows down then, but by that stage, they're well able to take care of themselves. The ostrich, the biggest and perhaps strangest of birds, may never have been built to fly, but it has certainly perfected a unique and successful lifestyle for itself and its young on the African plains, despite its feet being firmly on the ground.